Welcome to the first ever Barnsley FC podcast, the Oakwell Update. I'm Callum Cooper, and every week I will be joined by my fellow Red, Holly Tandy.
Each week we'll be giving you the very latest from Oakwell, taking you behind the scenes at the club and giving you interviews with various people connected to the club. And today we will be starting with a very exclusive special guest. But before that, Callum, we're just coming out of the October international break and we're currently sitting 11th in League One, which is clearly not where we want to be. But after so much change in the past year, plenty of positives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you said it right there. I don't think it's where anybody at the club wants to be. We obviously want to be pushing for the playoffs, top two, as always, as Barnsley have done for the last two seasons. But you hit the nail on the head. There has been a lot of change, and sometimes that can sort of creep into the start of the season, and clubs have got to get used to that, sort of off pitch and on the pitch as well. Even down to the first ever technical director being at the club. It was so much over the last 12 months, new manager coming in, and even he has admitted himself that, might not fully have his strongest system, his strongest 11. He's still working all those things out. And I know, particularly for fans, they might see that frustrating, but there's so many things going on day to day working in the football club and all over the country, obviously not just Barnsley, that add together, tie together and make ththings difficult. So you look at, for example, Darryl Clark, the manager that's come in, and the success he's had, particularly in English football, League Two in particular, nearly kept Cheltenham up last season, who were pretty much dead and buried when he took over there. And did a fantastic job there. Had success at Port Vale as well. So he knows the country, he knows the football here, he knows the divisions, he's had successes. And I think we've certainly got the right man in charge. It's just about, things coming together over time. And these things can happen. But you look at the last two seasons in League One and, Barnsley, they've had teething problems. They've undergone a lot of change from whether it be relegation from the Championship. We then achieved the playoff final finish, and then even changed this summer as well with key players leaving and stepping up into the Championship, because a club that's successful, a team that's successful, you are going to lose players. It's almost what you want to happen in a way. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but you want to be in that position where...
Natural progression.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Clubs that are above you are going to be wanting your players if you're doing well. It's a compliment to you. So it's one of those things that Barnsley have had to deal with year on year on year. And every year they are able to do that. They answer those questions. And I think it's going to be exactly the same as the season goes on.
And you touched a little bit on Darryl and his kind of track record being so good. And he's a very open, approachable person, isn't it? And I think after watching some of his post-match interviews, there's a lot of accountability there, and he looks forward rather than back. Is that something that you think will really help the team moving forward?
100%. And me being a fan myself and fans of Barnsley FC, they've asked for that honesty for quite a while. They've wanted that honesty from a manager, and you absolutely get that to a T with Darryl Clark. You really do. There's no sort of hiding. There's no making excuses. He puts his heart on the line sort of thing in press conferences, in explanations. There's no sort of hiding behind anything. He understands when the job hasn't been good enough. He understands when the performance hasn't been good enough, and he'll tell people that. And I'm sure, understanding the changing rooms, he'll tell the players that exactly. They know 100% what they expect from the manager.
Yeah.
And I think long term that can only be a positive. It's only going to encourage performances to improve. And you can see straight away, I think the relationship right from the off between the manager and the fans as well, that's something that Clark will definitely bring and definitely help to breed and bring on, again, as the season goes on. I know you see, again, 11th in the league, it's not where anybody wants to be. And
still early though.
Yeah, and football, it's quick results, isn't it?
It can change very quickly.
Your 3 points at the weekend, you could have lost the next two games Tuesday and Saturday within the next 7 days. So it's quick football. Everybody demands things very, very quickly. However, it's just that extra little bit of time, I think, that Darryl Clark and the Barnsley team are just needing, and I think things will definitely come together.
Yeah. And off the back of that, obviously we've got the women's team that are doing great at the moment. A slow start to the season, I think naturally having that step up into the next league has, taken a little bit of time for them to feel it out and gel as a team. A lot of new faces, the likes of Becky Flaherty, who is a really experienced goalkeeper. She brings a lot of knowledge to the team. I think having them older players has really been the key now to the team developing, is because they can just kind of bounce off each other and give each other advice, which is something that we see a lot post-match, even when it's not gone their way. And similar to Daryl, actually, with Jess's approach, she's very much kind of keep calm, carry on mentality. And that result that we had the other day against Stockport, where we won 3-0, something just seemed to drop in that game. And I think the confidence that they've got from that win will hopefully set them up for the next couple of weeks and throughout the rest of the season, So, yeah, things are going really well with the women's team as well. So all across the board, I think, it's been a decent start to the season, but we're hoping to pick it up.
Yeah, and obviously you touched on the women's team there. You have actually worked with them quite closely, haven't you? And it's, in the grand scheme of things, the Barnsley FC women's team is still in its infancy, really, but what a success it has been so far.
Absolutely. I mean, last season was amazing, and I think the girls are just hoping to grow from that. But like I say, it's huge, the difference between the quality of players that they are facing on a weekend. It's astronomical, but I think they've proved to themselves now that they can play at this level, and that is the key. I think a lot of it is in their mentality, and that's something that Jess is huge on, making sure that they go into game day with it. They always say this, we came with a plan and everything, but you've got to have your head in the game, as you know. It's a huge part of being a great footballer is, that mental aspect to things, and I think their attitude is slowly adapting and developing to playing in this league. One area that we haven't mentioned there is our hugely successful academy. Vermal and Fabio up in the first team, away representing their countries. We've got 3 graduates playing against Huddersfield in the BSM Trophy, and of course, we have one man looking to follow in the steps of our own, John Stones. Currently captaining England's under-16s and giving his first ever interview today on our debut podcast will be Oliver Wilkinson. But first, let's hear from what Academy manager Bobby Hassel has to say about Oliver and his progress.
Obviously, he's progressed really well in the last 2 years. Played in the 18s now since an under 14. Near enough played every minute last year as an under 15. And he's continued to progress now into the 21s and obviously made his debut for the first team also. Great news for him, the football club and his family, that he's managed to get another call up this year. A couple of camps, and then he's managed to captain the national team, which is obviously, it's a great achievement for him. Just shows his temperament, his character, etc. So really pleased for him. Had some really positive feedback from the coaches at England, certainly around his leadership skills and his maturity. So hopefully he's had a couple of niggles of late, so we're just managing his load at the minute. But hopefully from January onwards, just go from strength to strength, play as many 21 games as possible, and hopefully he'll progress how we think he's going to.
Yeah, and it's not just his footballing ability; it's also his character. He takes his studies very seriously. Really grounded lad, because it's easy to sort of let your head go away with it all, but he seems to be really grounded. Good support network around him.
Yeah, absolutely. His dad, family around him, as you said. Really humble family. Want Oliver to do really well in life and obviously in football. And he's took all the messages on from the coaches as well. So, all credit to him as an individual.
Yeah, and naturally, comparisons will come with certain John Stones coming from Barnsley, ball-playing defender, playing for his national side already. So, but what do you say to
that? Well, I can obviously see the comparisons. I think it's unfair, ultimately. John, unique player, mentally unbelievable, and obviously managed to get in the first team, play 20, I think, championship games around that, and then got his move to Everton. Didn't start well there, and then progressed there, and he's obviously had a manager in Pep Guardiola, the best of all time, teaching him and coaching him for the last 10 years. That's why he's gone to the potential he's gone to. Could have been a different story. If Pep not come over here, John might have stayed at a different club, and he might not have progressed out or what the player you see today. But, it was great. It was in the space of 1 week to have a lad that come through the academy, captain the national men's team, and then obviously one in the academy at the minute. Captain the under-16s, both from Barnsley. So great achievement for the football club and them as individuals.
And as you say, we are incredibly pleased to have alongside us Oliver Wilkinson. Oliver, fantastic to have you with us and have a little chat with us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
No problem whatsoever. So we're obviously sat in the first team changing rooms at Oakwell. How much of a dream would it be for you to be sat in here one day representing the first team?
Yeah, no, definitely it's a dream of mine to play for the first team and obviously walk out, because obviously I played for the first team, but it wasn't the full stadium and it wasn't with the full fans. So I think to play in front of the Oakwell faithful and play in front of the fans and the atmosphere at Oakwell would be amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Talk us through your journey so far at the club. What has that entailed, and kind of what's it been like these last couple of years for you?
Yeah, I've absolutely loved it. Started being here since the start. Started when I was 8. Signing the contract at 8 was brilliant, and then I've just loved it. And I think I started playing a year up when I was under 11s, and I've sort of just keep progressing. And now I absolutely loved it. And obviously making my under 18s debut at 14 a couple of seasons ago, and then playing a full season under 18s, and then now pushing more 21s and first year. It's sort of, now gone through the pathway and hopefully carry on.
And obviously a very special one that I think all Barnsley fans will be familiar with, representing your country. I mean, that's an unbelievable achievement at your age as well. Just how does that feel?
Yeah, no, honestly, we're walking out, and I think it's just definitely a massive, proud moment for me and my family. And I think as a young kid, that's definitely what you dream of, putting on the shirt and captaining, walking out, leading your country. So that was a great experience, and hopefully many more to come.
And following in the footsteps of John Stones as well, and wearing the armband, your family must be so proud. And what's that like, really, going on down that path and potentially fulfilling your dreams?
Yeah, it's amazing. And obviously it's only the beginning, so I've just got to keep working, and then hopefully one day do what Stonesy's doing, or even better. So, yeah.
Definitely a good role model to look up to as well.
Oh, amazing. Coming through the pathway at Barnsley and then seeing what he's doing now, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Talk us through how it comes about, the call-up, really, because obviously in the first team, it's obviously rife at the moment, isn't it, with the news of the England first team. But as such a youngster yourself, how does that information come about? How do you get seen by sort of officials at England?
Yeah, I think obviously I've played high age groups at my young age, so I think that's definitely caught their eye. And obviously they just watch the games, obviously being impressed. And I think that's why I gave me captaincy, sort of they see me as more of an experienced player, because I've been used to exposed to older change rooms and like first team 21s, and that's really helped.
Fantastic. Great experience then, of course. And Bobby Hassel, a Barnsley legend, has had some very, very strong words of praise for yourself. Hopefully not putting too much pressure on you, of course, but just how big of an influence has he been on your career so far? Yeah, massive. And like I said, I can say that about all the coaching staff. Since day one, since I've been here, they've all been brilliant. And just keep working, and obviously working with the first team staff now and people like that. And that's brilliant.
And you're 15, aren't you?
Yeah.
So how on earth do you find balancing football with school? That must be really hard to have to take off that kind of hat of being a footballer and then go into school. What's that like for you?
Yeah, obviously it's tough, because all I want to be doing is playing football every day and just doing what I love. But obviously you just have to do it, and it's part of life, and you just have to get through it. And so I'm trying to put the hard work I put onto the pitch, off the pitch as well, into my schoolwork. And then 6 months' time, I'll finish my GCSEs and I'll be playing football every day, doing what I love. So
it's good. It's good to have that kind of like backup as well. I think education, it goes so quick as well. I remember being in school myself and thinking, oh my God, this has gone so quick, when you just want to get out and do what you want to do. I imagine that amongst your peers, that is massive street cred as well, is that you're in the England's under 16s. Huge flex.
No, definitely walking into school and all my mates, obviously football fans. There's actually a lot of Barnsley fans, because I go to school in Wakefield, so that's really nice to see them hopefully one day watch me play on Oakwell. Playing for England, definitely. They've all been really supportive, so it's brilliant.
I bet that was big news at school, definitely. Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah, I mentioned in assembly. So that's always nice, but just keep working and keep getting more recognition, hopefully.
Yeah, of course. And your family life must be so important as well. Your dad's with you today, obviously, and I can imagine that he's incredibly, incredibly proud and helping to sort of keep your feet on your ground as well, because I can imagine, again, being 15, playing for England, captain England, it can all, certainly give you a massive, massive confidence boost. And that's important. And I can tell just from the way you sat here talking to us, you're very, very level-headed, and that can take you a long way in football on its own. So how much do they help, the family side of it, day to day?
Yeah, no, massively. Like I said, with all the schoolwork and just everything, just the supporting, and my dad bringing me to training and matches every single week for the past well, how many years it's been. Yeah, no, definitely really help, and it just pushes me to make them prouder and do well for myself and them and make them proud. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that you are. And Oliver, finally, if you had any advice to give to any, young aspiring footballers, obviously you've come through the ranks and you started off in the academy and everything. What would that advice be, and what kind of influence would you be able to give them?
Yeah, I'd say definitely just, first of all, just keep enjoying your football and loving your football and just loving playing, because that's the main thing, isn't it? Just loving your football. And I think just going with the journey and being patient, and it's a journey of up and downs, injuries, you've got all sorts, footballs like that, but you just keep enjoying it and keep working hard, and anything's possible. So, yeah.
Well, best of luck, and we'll be keeping a keen eye on you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming on the pod.
Thank you.
Football does return this weekend for Darryl and the team with a trip to Blackpool. Here are the stats from over the years. So, we've played the Tangerines 42 times, 17 wins, 17 losses, and 8 draws. The last win against Blackpool was in 2019, a 2-1 win with goals from Corley Woodrow and Liam Lindsay. The last away win was the year before in 2018. 1-0, Cameron McGeehan with the goal.
For Potts towards the byline, he tosses the above, Boston, McGeehan!
Well, Holly, as you have highlighted there, it's not the happiest of hunting grounds, unfortunately. I've been there a couple of times in the last few seasons on commentary, and it's a tough place to go, Bloomfield Road. It really is. It seems sort of tightly knit. The away fans as well are actually a different section of the ground. I think that has a slight effect, really, on the support. But yeah, it's really difficult. They often have sort of a high intensity pressing style of play, Blackpool, and like I said, the last few times, I think Neil Critchley was manager on one of those, and it really difficult place to play. Barnsley sort of played there at the back end of last season when they were on sort of a poor run of form to finish the season, and sort of saw a bit of a fight back towards the end, and I think Fabio Jallo was denied last-minute penalty, unfortunately. It might have been an equaliser for Barnsley in the end. Lost 3-2, unfortunately, on the day. But yeah, it's certainly going to be a difficult place to go, a difficult opposition to play. But Barnsley could do with the 3 points. We mentioned earlier, obviously, how it's still early on in the season, and there's plenty of time on Barnsley's side. But Darryl Clark and the players will certainly be looking at this after the international break as well. They've been rested. They've had time on the training ground. They'll be wanting to get back to winning ways as soon as possible. Absolutely. But they are a really good run, Blackpool. It has to be said. Steve Bruce has gone in there as manager, an experienced manager. They got a lot of criticism for that, for bringing him in, to be fair. Sort of the manager merry-go-round, really. And when you look at it, Steve Bruce, he's managing the Premier League. He's had success in the Championship. You'd have to back him to do well in League One, and he started really well at Blackpool as well. So not only are they always expected to be a pretty decent side in League One, you're expecting them to finish in the top 10. I think they've got a really good manager as well, obviously, and experience. So that combination has proved well for them so far. Just hopefully Barnes can turn up there and get the 3 points. And I think we all know that certainly on Barnsley's day, we're one of the best sides in the division. We've got excellent quality. We really have. And a lot of the players. 100%. We've got goals in the team as well. Obviously, Adam Phillips has been out with that toe injury, but hopefully he's on his way to returning at the very least, after the international break. And, we know from last season, the quality that we've got in the squad, a lot of that still remains. If you fetch, good additions in during the summer as well. And again, it's all about time, isn't it? And even that extra 2 weeks from the international break, it can go a massive way. It can go a long, long way. So, look, anything can happen on the day, of course. It's going to be tough, but let's hope Wales can go to Bloomfield Road and come away with all 3 points.
Yes, I hope so. And from that, have you got a score prediction?
Putting me on the spot here, Holly. Putting me on the spot. You've got to back the boys. I mean, you've got to. I'm going to go with an away win. It's going to be tight. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 to the Reds. Well, you said it was me.
Literally not a lie. That was what I was going to say.
You don't mind think alike.
Shall I say 3-1? 2
Yeah.
stars. Yeah, either we're happy with. So I guess it's up to the lads to deliver on that.
And fans may have noticed that for Tuesday, the 22nd of October, the Charlton Athletic game here at Oakwell, under the lights, the club are offering the extra incentive, extra deal of every season ticket holder being able to fetch 2 extra supporters completely free on charge.
Also, you can get a free hot drink before the game, and that's available for anybody that's in attendance. And in addition to that, 50% off all hot food throughout the game as well. So what a deal.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's really pack out Oakwell, get behind Darryl and the boys, and it could be a real spectacle. All further details about that particular deal will be found on our club website. Unfortunately, that brings us to the very end of our very first podcast, the Oakwell Update. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed. And yeah, thank you very much for being here with us.
It's been a pleasure, and we will see you next week.
You rest.